You are listening to The Ben Keech Show, where every day the objective is simple. Ben will never stop fighting the fight and lighting the light on topics that affect you every day.
How's everybody doing today? Welcome to The Ben Keech Show. My name is Ben Keech, and I am honored to be here with you once again as we continue to kind of go through this little connection that we have in our lives through this podcast and video. And we're on episode 5. Oh my goodness. It's each week, the little conversations I have with folks and the kind words, all of that really does mean a lot. And I am honestly even just glad to kind of reconnect with some people that I haven't talked with in a while. And that's a truly special thing. And I have some some friends and family that are helping me with this behind the scenes. And I'm fortunate, honestly, blessed to have a great support system and this little audience that we have, just kind of getting to know each other, and I love it. So let's move into our topic today. Our topic today is a little bit similar to last one. Last one was what's wrong with our kids. I'm kind of sticking with the family theme, but going a little bit more specific is what's wrong with our dads. And before I get into that, I want to kind of say a couple things just so we're, on the same page. Here would be point one. I think it's unfortunate that we have so many different television shows and movies where the father seems more like a bumbling idiot half the time. Can't make a decision. Really, honestly, not always a person of strength. And I'm not saying every show, but far too many. And I think that while in theater and acting, it's fine to have all sorts of different representatives of a family, if you will, far too often the man is the scapegoat. And so when I'm saying what's wrong with our dads, what I am not saying is that this is all dads. As a matter of fact, I've seen and been honored to be a part of watching some amazing men father their families through my coaching experiences, through my teaching experiences, learning so many things from my own dad and even within my family. So this isn't a session for me to have nonstop complaints about what dads do or not do. That's not the purpose of today. It's honestly not even necessarily geared toward the dad who is being a dad on a daily basis. Rather, it's to bring up what I consider one of the most significant epidemic problems that our world faces. We have far too many children who don't know their dads, who don't live with their dads, who don't have a relationship with their dads. I definitely view that as a problem. Now, one more note. What I'm not saying is that a single mom or two moms can't raise wonderful children, who can't be, your quality of parent that you are isn't tied to your gender. It's tied to you as a person. But your gender, in this case, speaking of males and fathers, far too often are absent. And there's impacts that has directly on their children that they bring into this world, and then on a society as a whole. And that's what I want to look at today. What's wrong with our dads? They're not around, and they need to be. And when they are, they change lives. So let's look at just the basics on statistics with this. Is study after study is going to show that, a fatherless America, a country where fathers are absent, is going to lead to societal problems. I'm not going to get in a lot of details on this today, but whether you're talking about crime, whether you're talking about poverty, alcohol, drug use, earlier sexual activity, fathers impact these things. And that's the obvious reason why this is an important topic. I'd kind of prefer to look at it a little bit different, if you don't mind. The psychological impacts that this can have on a son or a daughter are important and are not talked about. When we look at problems in a society, even if it's poverty or depression, lack of confidence with kids, we don't like to say that the issue of dads not being around for their children is causing these things. It sounds mean. Well, there's got to be other things. I don't even think it's really honestly very politically correct, which of course, political correct jargon, unfortunately, leads to bad decisions because we're not actually being honest about what's going on. If we're being honest about what's going on, the lack of fathers impacts kids. It doesn't mean they're going to turn out bad. It doesn't mean all these negatives are going to happen. But it does mean it's more likely. So this isn't really I'm not here to just throw a bunch of stats at you and just down us out. I would prefer to try to get to why I think this happens and maybe look to some actual viable solutions, which is always, I think, the proper approach. So let's look at why this happens. One of the main reasons why this happens is because boy and girl have kid. Boy and girl aren't committed to each other, maybe don't love each other. The relationship dissolves. She takes kid. He goes and finds another woman. Well, that family didn't work, so I'm going to go to this family. This happens. I understand why that is. You know, it's not always easy. I was never married to her. I got her pregnant. It's like, it's not really my thing. I'm doing my own life over here. So here's the deal. You only have one opportunity with that human being to establish your legacy as a dad. When you snooze on that, when you dismiss it, because I'm going to, well, this is who I'm going to marry, and this is who and I already have these kids with her, and this is, when you do that, there's something really wrong with that. It's very, very selfish, and it doesn't have to be that way. When you make a decision to regardless of how it was done, we know how it was done. When you make a decision to bring a human life into this world, you now have a responsibility, no matter what, forever. When I get to the song part here in a little bit, I'm going to kind of tie this part of it in. So just kind of a little teaser. I'm going to come back to something with this just in a little bit. We're here on this earth for a certain period of time. And a lot of times the things that we think really matter maybe don't matter as much. And the things that we're missing out on are right in front of our faces. So imagine this, for instance. Imagine that, I'm not going to break out into a John Lennon song, so don't worry. Imagine if children who are brought into this world had a loving, involved dad. What would that do? Never mind even the financial part of it. I mean, there's women that have to, they're shouldering the burden sometimes, not only emotionally and raising this kid, but financially. What if that was the norm? Why does that not happen as much as we all know that it should? We have broken men sometimes with broken relationships with their own fathers. And some of those men say, I am not going to do the same thing that he did. I'm on a different path. I am not going to do that. And sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. And my challenge to you, whether you're 15 years old listening to this or 65 and you haven't talked to your kid in 20 years, my challenge to you is that the moments that we have in this life to speak into our children, to to raise our children, to be a part of their lives, the reverberations of that impact continue to go on for generation to generation. You spending time, you being responsible for the human beings that you bring into this world matters. It matters in more ways than you even realize. And it doesn't just matter to your son or daughter, it matters to society and culture as a whole. A lot of times we look at the past and we look at things that happened in the 1950s or the 20s and we, oh my goodness, that time period was just so outdated and a lot of things that maybe we don't like. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody back then were the best parents, but they were there consistently. By and large, culturally, they were there. Maybe not in your house. I'm not speaking anecdotally. I'm saying as a picture, that was the norm. You have a child. You take care of your child. If you mess up in A, B, and C, you're not messing up in that. See, I'm more of an advocate of getting back to that. Like when we talk to boys and girls, middle school, high school, like it's not just about I'm going to teach him how to put a condom on or how she can get on birth control. I mean, sure, that's fine if that's what you want to do. How about understanding the responsibility that comes with these things and how it really truly matters? We'll talk to kids all day long about trade school and college, and boy, there's there's kind of a selfish element to that. There's nothing wrong with that. We want our kids to succeed and achieve things. There's nothing wrong with that. But with that, we have to remind them that when you have the privilege and the honor of becoming a parent, whether it's in the best situation or not, you now have a job. And that job does not end until the day you die. It doesn't mean that you get to run off 10 states away. No, that's not. You have a responsibility. And I would love to see that becoming a cultural norm versus just a talking point that we don't talk about enough. What's wrong with our dads? We need them to be involved. And when they are, magic happens for kids and for families. And we all know it. Okay. I'm going to get into first my song for today. So it's a song by Randy Travis. All right. And the name of the song is He Walked on Water. And the reason why I chose this song was because the song is about kind of a child's perspective of their dad. My dad, he walked on water. And this is I'm wanting to give dads out there, even if they have been lost in the process of being a parent and drifted away in ways. Here's such an amazing thing about kids. Kids forgive. Kids give second chances. Kids don't need the perfect parent. Kids want a parent who tries and is in there. They'll be way more forgiving sometimes than spouses are. No offense. Kids look at their dad as he walked on water, even sometimes when it doesn't feel like that way as a dad. And so my encouragement for the reason I really truly love that song is, we'd like to pretend that all of us dads out there have a Superman S in our chest and we can tackle the world and protect our families and make enough money and provide this life. And when we fall short, when we fail, it's tough. And sometimes the areas that we fail in don't matter to our kids. What matters to our kids are, oh my gosh, daddy, he dresses a certain way. He kind of tells the same bad jokes. They take your attributes and the things that you are, and they just connect to it because it's my dad. And I just love that part of that song. It's uplifting to me, and hopefully maybe you'll give it a listen and it'll be uplifting to you. And it's a beautiful part about really honestly all kids. Now, not to say that kids can't get to a point where they have to cut people off, and that happens for lots of reasons that we're not going to get into now, but we all understand. But it's a beautiful thing. My parenting advice for this episode is also related to dads, and honestly, for this point, any parent, it's never too late. It's never too late to try. It doesn't matter how you failed before. It doesn't matter if your child rejects your attempts of coming back into their life. It doesn't matter. Your job when you wake up every morning is, I am going to do the right thing now, regardless of my failures in the past. Well, I missed out on quit crying about it. Don't be absorbed in your own self-pity and your own mistakes that you're unable to take one big step out of your own mess and start doing things the right way. That is your job. You owe it to yourself as a person. You owe it to the mother, oftentimes who's been this amazing superwoman raising your kids when you've been gone. But most importantly, you owe it to your child. And there's it may take a while. You may not have trust. You may even be around your kids, but you just really have been an absent, maybe a workaholic parent or just non-involved. It's never too late, ever. I don't care if your kid's 60 years old. It's never too late to be involved and to try things in a little bit different way. And when that happens, it's a beautiful portrait of a family that happens after that. Even if the family is in different places and it wasn't how it was really supposed to be, it's not how I envisioned my life, good things can happen. So I appreciate you listening. I hope there's something about this that resonates. Maybe send the episode to your dad or somebody that might need to hear it. Honestly, I think if I had my choice, if 10,000 16-year-old boys heard this lesson, it's not a lesson, I'm being a teacher again, heard this episode, I think, we can't necessarily correct everything in the past, but the more that we inspire and motivate the young men of the world to be the men that they're supposed to be the dads that they can be, boy, it'd be nice. It's always nice solving a problem before it happens, don't you think? Great talking to you guys. Look forward to next time. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out on Ben's website, www.benkeechshow.com, or on social media to chat. And please remember to subscribe so that you never miss an episode.